Welcome to Proclamation News and Gatherence. It's Saturday, the 14th of August. Smack bang, middle of the month. Saturday, 14th of August. Hope you're all having a wonderful, wonderful weekend. It is the prodigious, the prominence Professor Johnson at P&G. Yesterday, we was talking about how to understand alcoholism, how to understand that people suffering alcoholism, become an alcoholic. Me and my friend Abe Chapman from Hertfordshire giving both our own verdict, our own perspective on alcoholism. It's a good show, really good show. It's nice to hear his story from it, to be honest. But everyone has their different perspectives on alcoholics. I mean, everyone's critical, isn't they? Everyone likes to criticise anything in society. If it's alcoholism, narcotics, smoking. At the end of the day, everyone's human, isn't they? Everyone's human, and everyone needs a little bit of help or pointing in the right direction. We know everyone, even the alcoholics, know that alcohol is poison, but there's a reason why they're an alcoholic. Is what we need to discover to try and help them. But anyway, we've got so much on today, so much on for people that need help, people in jeopardy. It could be alienated parent, could be domestic abuse or violence victim. You could be getting discriminated at work or discriminated from your ethnicity or your culture, perhaps. Acknowledging when you need help and who to turn to at Proclamation News and Gatherence. This is a good day to be involved. I've been through, we've all been through life, different angles and communities that can help support you in every direction you need. Maybe you want to help back into work. Need help back into work. Who do you turn to? You've got places like Shore Trust. They help point you in the right direction of adult learning. You want to better your aspirations in life. Look at doing different courses that can help you with your ambitions in life. Absolutely. You want to get into business, start looking at a different route of success to get where you need to be getting life. Nothing is easy. Rome wasn't built in a day. It takes time, perseverance. You've really got to work hard at it. Really have got to work hard at it. No matter what you do in life, you've got to work hard to get where you need to get in life. Be prosperous when no prosperity matters. Anyway, Proclamation News and Gatherence. Just before we head off, give a shout out to our sponsors. Please get a pen at ready. PSS alarm fee, etiquette and pragmatic work carried out. All areas covered, including central station monitoring provided, all work done according to insurance requirements. This is a friend of mine's company. He's carried out works in Harry Kane's stepmother's house, Hertfordshire's Potter's Bar. He's carried out etiquette works in Essex, such as Casbah Restaurant and many more big businesses. Get a pen ready. Installation and maintenance of intruder alarms, fire alarms, CCTV, all work guaranteed and certified to SSARB standards. 24-hour call-out service. Can provide CCTV for pubs, clubs, restaurants, or new business setup. Secure your business. Mention Professor Johnson for an extra discount. Secure your home, secure your business. Your safety and priorities in your business are paramount. So think safety, think first. Secure your equity. If you have the pen at the ready, the phone number is 07908 216 142. 07908 216 142. Also, if, like I said, you want to change your ambition, change your simple ways, you want to better your life chances, give this company a look up through the internet. relax-uk.com. relax-uk.com. Relax UK Limited, health, travel and wellness products since 1997. UK relaxation shop selling various ranges of products from relaxation travel, well-being, biofeedback, sleeping, and natural products. As we're moving on, Citizen Advice Bureau. People don't understand what Citizen Advice are there to help with. Help with benefits. Maybe you're homeless, you lost all your ID, or you want to start your life over again. You need to sign on, start your life again. Got no ID, you need to go to Citizen Advice. How can I get my ID to help me get benefits, to help you back on your feet? Universal credit. Sick or disabled people and carers. Help on low income. Help with work as well. Like I said, coronavirus, being furloughed if you can't work. Coronavirus if you have problems getting your furlough pay. Coronavirus if you're self-employed. Coronavirus if you're worried about working. Coronavirus if you need to be off work to care for someone. Rights at work, leaving a job, problems at work. Like I said, bullying, discrimination, phobia, all that kind of stuff you can bring to the horizon at the Citizen Advice, and they'll give you the support line you need to call. Debt and money. If you want to pay your bills because of coronavirus, help with debt, debt solutions, budgeting, mortgage problems, rent arrears, action your creditor can take, and borrowing money. Consumer rights. If you want a refund because of coronavirus, contact the consumer helpline. Report to trading standards, problems with a used car, return faulty goods, buying a used car, your energy and supply. Maybe you buy a used car and head gasket goes after 2 days of having it. You should theoretically have, I know people say buy soon, but you should theoretically have a warranty. I don't know if it's 6 months on a car, I'm not quite sure. I don't know the actual ins and outs. But there you go. You'll find out what you're entitled to and what you're not entitled to. Housing. Coronavirus, you have problems with renting from a council or housing association. Homelessness, repairs in rented housing, renting home, mortgage problems, discrimination in housing. Family, living together, married and a civil partnership, how to separate, sorting out money, making agreements about your children. If you were living together, death and wills, gender, violence, children and young people. Law and courts, they help with your law and courts as well. Legal system, claiming compensation for personal injury, discrimination, parking tickets and civil rights. Staying in the UK after Brexit, immigration, getting British citizenship, getting visa for your spouse or partner, getting visa for family and friends, staying in the UK after divorce, if you've overstayed your visa or leave, if you're in the UK illegally, after you get a refuge status. So you want to stay in the UK after Brexit, you're from the EU. You're from France or Spain, you're from the EU, and you want to stay within the UK. Have you learnt your rights to live here? That's the point system, how it works. Are you a professional of any kind? Then you are more than welcome to have your rights to stay here. Health. Coronavirus rules you need to follow. NHS healthcare, help with health costs, discrimination health and care services, going abroad for dental care, NHS and social care complaints. There you go. There's so much that the Citizen Advice help with. They've had 34,500,000 people visit to their website on one of them. People that help face to face, 1,344,000. People using our phone service is 1,010,000. People contacting our customer helpline, 483,000. People getting help by email or web chat, 436,000. Witnesses through the witness service, 97,000. In total, they've helped 2.8 million people in person by phone, email, or web chat. Or advice. Website had over 34.5 million visits, and the site had 54.5 page views. We provide support in 2,540 locations across England and Wales with 21,400 volunteers and 8,150 staff. There you go. They're helping out absolutely ridiculous amounts of people in the community that need support. Some people are too money driven to get the support they need to get where they need to get in life, to be the person they opted to be in the first place. They get a smell that the grass is green on the other side and don't want to know plan A. They move into plan B and they're so happy with plan B they don't want to, like I'm talking about, like some alienated parents that won't fight for justice because their ex didn't want them to be the father. Well, at the time of the incidents when they, when they dipped their wick, they wanted to be the father. She wanted him to be a father and he wanted to be the father. But now he's had a sniff of the grass is green outside, he doesn't then want to be resenting his own children. It happens a lot in society. I speak to, obviously I do this on a regular basis. Speak to a lot of people in the community. I don't know my dad, he hasn't bothered. He's not around no more. But just because mother doesn't want it, doesn't mean father has to give up. So keep fighting. And vice versa. There are some alienated women out there in the world. They should be out there fighting for their rights of their children. Never, never give up your own flesh and blood. Anyway, moving on. We've got quite a lot of criminology. Even with Nicola Sturgeon's sister in the headlines. We're going to move on to road incidents though. So think safety. Think first before you enter the roads. I was going to say the roads in the UK, but you could be listening from all over the world because I've got car spots on as well. Do not enter a vehicle under the influence of alcoholism or narcotics. Check engine oil and water coolant tank. Make sure they're topped up to maximum level. Check your PSI limits. Check your MOT, you're insured, and you've got tax on the car. Make sure you and passengers on board have seatbelts on adjacent to the car seat, and babies on board have seatbelt adapters adjacent to the car seat. Same as a chair, obviously. Check for further speed instructions, further road works, further police instructions. Check your centre mirror and wing mirror before turning, acting in safe, sufficient directional choice, just in case a motorcyclist is overtaken. Because you could hit him if you didn't look over your shoulder at last minute. All the obvious. Let's anyway enter UK roads. Here we go. Let's see what lies ahead of us. Incidents all day, every day. If it's roadworks or collisions, we'll start off in my constituency of Essex. A133 current traffic instruction area, St Andrews Avenue at A232 Ipswich Road in construction area. Contraflow in place, 10:31. Ipswich, we have A12 current traffic on northbound for A14 junction 55. Cop dog interchange approaching Ipswich at 10:25. Reported today. Chelmsford, Whittle Road accident. Slow traffic report of slow traffic due accident on Whittle Road both ways on A1016 Westway, 11:32 a.m. this morning. Reported. Great Cambridge Road, M25, heavy traffic on M25, both ways at junction 25, A10, Great Cambridge Road, Enfield. This is reported 11:10. M25 near Watford, heavy traffic on M25 anti-clockwise from junction 21A, A405 North Orbital Road, St Albans to junction 18, A404 Rickmansworth Road, Chorleywood at 10:36. This is reported today. We're going to do one more segment before we head off to break. We're going to be going for some time, so please listen in. You can have a good show today. I can promise you that much. I put my heart and soul into my YouTube channel, but unfortunately my followers don't multiply. I don't know what reason. Don't know the reason behind it, but we will find out sooner or later. PM defends UK's Afghanistan role amid evacuation. Boris Johnson says Britain's involvement in Afghanistan was right. It was worth it. Boris Johnson said the UK can be extremely proud of its role in Afghanistan, despite the situation in the country having deteriorated. UK will evacuate the vast bulk of its embassy staff in the coming days as the Taliban continues to advance. The Prime Minister said there was no military solution after emergency of Cobra meeting on Friday afternoon. On Thursday, the UK said it would send 600 troops to help evacuate British nationals and former Afghan staff. Thousands of civilians have fled the Taliban onslaught, heading for the capital of Kabul. The World Food Programme has warned that food shortages are dire, while the UN has urged Afghan's neighbours to keep their borders open. The militants now control about a third of Afghanistan's provincial capitals, including Herat, Ghazni and Lashkar. Mr Johnson insisted there was no military solution following the gains made by the Taliban in recent days, and said as a team of Home Office officials will be sent to set up efforts to relocate Afghans who work for British forces in the country. It's very difficult, obviously, but I think the UK can be extremely proud of what it has done in Afghanistan over 20 years, he said. The Prime Minister said that thanks to the efforts of UK armed services, there had been no Al-Qaeda attacks on the West for a very long time. He also added that 3 million girls and young women in Afghanistan have been educated who otherwise would not have been during the last 20 years. I think we've got to be realistic about the abilities of the UK or any power to impose a military solution, a combat solution in Afghanistan, Mr Johnson said. What we certainly can do is work with all our partners in the region and around who share an interest with us in preventing Afghanistan from once again becoming a breeding ground for terror. Earlier, Lisa Nandy, Labour Shadow Foreign Secretary, told BBC4's World at One programme there was far more the UK could do to support people of Afghanistan, and accused the government of hiding. She warned the government that the cross-party MPs could push to recall Parliament to hold the government to account if it did not show a clear strategy. Ms Nandy said that the people in the country felt abandoned and were looking to the US and UK for a level leadership. Her concerns were echoed by former Conservative Defence Minister Johnny Mercer, who served in Afghanistan. He described the situation in the country as a world strategy, which would have precautions for years to come. Lib Dem leader Sir Ed Davey has also backed the idea of recalling Parliament, given a strategy unfolding before our eyes, and called on the UN to deploy peacekeepers. Contested is where fighting is ongoing or strong Taliban presence. Earlier, Defence Secretary Ben Wallace acknowledged the country could be heading towards civil war. He blamed former US President Donald Trump's bottom deal with the Taliban in 2020 for the withdrawal. UK government has launched Operation Pitting to help evacuate British nationals, former UK staff and others who are eligible to relocate to the UK. Mr Wallace said around 600 troops were being sent to Afghanistan to ensure the safe return of about 500 foreign officers and UK government officials, along with around 300 British citizens working on other roles, such as security guards for aid agencies. About 2,000 Afghan interpreters and other people we have an obligation to would also be transported to the UK. He said, joining some 3,000 had already been taken out of the country. RAF aircraft could be used if needed, and the Home Office also be deploying a small team of officials to assist with processing new visas, the Ministry of Defence has said. The US said it would have the bulk of 300 troops it is sending to assist with evacuation in place by the end of the weekend. Pentagon spokesman John Kirby added that the US military was certainly concerned about the speed of which the Taliban is moving. NATO said it's discussed the situation on Friday and would aim to support the Afghan government and security forces as much as possible. Security General Jens Stoltenberg said that the Taliban would not recognised by the national community if it took the country by force, adding there was deep concern and reports for serious human rights abuse. Wendy Rayner, whose husband Peter died in action in Helmand province in 2010, said the withdrawal undermined the sacrifice of soldiers who had lost their lives. My husband died to give them a better life, and them not having a better life is taken away his fight, she told the BBC. All these young people in Afghanistan that are having their families slaughtered because of their nobody cares, because we've just left them in a lurch. It's just going to create another terror threat. They're going to hate us, and I don't blame them. Mr. Johnson said he did not think the sacrifices made by the British forces were in vain. I believe it was right, it was worth it, and we must do now is to turn our backs on Afghanistan, he said.
First of all, I share the sorrow of all the families who've lost loved ones over the last 20 years. The 457 British troops who were serving men and women who were killed in that conflict, many of them in Helmand. I thank them for the immensity of their sacrifice. Thank their families for what they've gone through, and I know how they must feel at the moment. But I must say that I don't believe it was in vain, because I do think when you look back at what has happened over the last 20 years, there was a massive effort to deal with a particular problem that everybody will remember after 9/11, and that was successful. And to a very large extent, the threat from Al Qaeda on the streets of our capital, around the UK, around the whole of the West, was greatly reduced. And there was the further advantage that millions, I think 3 million girls, young women, were educated who would not otherwise have been educated. And so what I would say to those families now is, I understand what you feel, but I believe that it was right, it was worth it. And what we must do now is not turn our backs on Afghanistan, but continue as member of the Security Council, a country deeply involved in the strategic future of the area, to work with our partners and make sure that the government of Kabul does not allow that country again to be a breeding ground for terror.
2 seconds, agents. 2 seconds. Like I said, we're going to have a quick break, so we're at 5-10 minutes. We'll do. Just got to share some of the air cartridges.
People, leading people, and the Syrian people came to this world to
give them their lives and give them their time over the last 20 years in Afghanistan to see this happening. But the reality is that it's happened. It's happening so rapidly, which tells us that there is something going on the ground that we don't really see here.
Hanif Kadir, thank you very much indeed for your time in Sky News this afternoon. We're just running out of time. Thank you. Into the webinar.
We get web updates.
Look forward to brighter skies. The weather, sponsored by Qatar Airways.
The weekend will be dry with sunny spells for many, but there will be showers around, more prolonged rain for some central parts. It will be quite warm in the south today, rather cool elsewhere. There will be quite a chilly wind in the northeast and southwest. The southern half of England and South Wales will be dry with sunny spells throughout the second half of the afternoon. North Wales and northern half of England, meanwhile, can expect a lot of cloud and a little patchy rain. Elsewhere, northern parts will be mostly dry with some sunny spells.
The weather, sponsored by Qatar Airways.
This is Sky News coming up. The United States insists the Afghan capital Kabul is not under imminent threat despite the Taliban's rapid advances.
Whoa, expense of this. Expense of the weather forecast. Hoping that they produce it there and then, but it's going to take a little while. I'm going to move on with the show anyway. Nearly on for half hour, which I'm overwhelmed with. In Essex, pair arrested on suspicion of attempted murder following fight involving weapons in Tilbury. Police were called to the scene of a disturbance on Malta Road at 5:05 on Friday. 2 men have been arrested on suspicion of attempted murder after a man was airlifted to hospital following a fight in Tilbury. Police said that the 3 men, who were all armed with weapons, were involved in a disturbance at Malta Road on Friday afternoon. Officers were called to the scene at 5:05 p.m. A man in his 20s was taken to the hospital by air ambulance after he sustained life-threatening injuries in the incident. 2 men aged 18 to 26 are also being treated for injuries sustained in a fight after being arrested on suspicion of attempted murder. Essex Police are appealing for witnesses or anyone with dashcam footage of the incident to come forward. Inspector Warren Peppier said, "This would have been a frightening incident for anyone to witness, but we were quickly on the scene and have made 2 arrests. Those men are now in public custody. We are not looking for anyone else at this stage, and there is no wider threat to the community. Officers will be in the vicinity a while longer to complete any queries we may have." As there were a lot of people on Malta Road until we train station at that time, I'll ask anyone who has not already spoken to us, but who may have information that can help us, to call 101 or quote the incident 903. This is on the 13th of August, so only yesterday. So that's important that you get that message out there, ladies and gents. Very, very important. I'm just going to put the news back. I'm going to share that where it's shocking information.
Most of us won't break a world record, but feel great after breaking a sweat. We'll eat healthier starting from tomorrow. Most of us would like to know our bodies better, so we can be at our best. Galaxy Watch 4 Series, the watch that knows you best.
And President vows to fight on. Well, questions now for the police over how Plymouth gunman Jake Davison was given his firearm back after an alleged assault. And more of our headlines back on home soil. Team GB athletes parade their medals at special homecoming events. Some of our top stories there. And moving on, in the new head of the NHS in England, Amanda Pritchard, has encouraged people with potential cancer symptoms to come forward for life-saving checks. Ahead of their new campaign launching next week, she said that the NHS is open and ready to treat people. Well, joining me now is a football coach and former Everton player, Alan Stubbs, who survived cancer twice during his playing career. Thank you very much indeed for joining us on Sky News. And as I was just saying that you survived 2 cancers. Just tell us about your experience.
Well, mine all came from a drug test after the 1998-99 cup final. And previously before that, I'd had some symptoms where I was feeling some discomfort in one of my testicles, and I chose not to do anything about it. I just thought, like most men, we try and brave it and say, "Oh, it'll go away and everything will be okay." And luckily for me, that choice was taken out of my hands by having the drug test. And the point that we're trying to get across is that a lot of men are
I think coming by mistake by this time.
To GPs or doctors with early symptoms, and
it's from your side, buddy.
They do that, super health clinics or running a cancer screening campaign alongside with the NHS to try and get people who've missed
we'll do.
so many
buddy.
appointments during the pandemic with COVID-19, with people not venturing outside their houses.
And Alan, it's so interesting, isn't it, what you said? Some people will be sitting at home, particularly men, as you point out, and they may have some worries, they may have some doubts, but they'll just think, oh, I'll just put it off. Obviously, the pandemic has exacerbated the problem. Even more people thinking we don't want to put a strain on the NHS. But what would your advice be to anybody who's sitting at home with any form of doubt and thinking, should I not get in touch with my GP?
Well, I think the most important thing is that when I found out that I had testicular cancer in the first time, there was a 96% success rate if found early that you could overcome it. And I think anybody would take that right now. But the longer that you leave it, obviously the less chance you have of overcoming any cancer. And the one thing I would say to everybody who's watching is, please, if you do have any symptoms or feel any uncomfortable or you're not sure about something, go and see a GP and speak to someone about it, because I know they would much prefer to be, once you've been checked, give you the good news to say, I'm glad to say that everything is fine, you're okay, rather than looking at your GP and he gives you the dreaded words to say, I'm really sorry, but it's gone too far, we can't do anything about it, when you knew you could have gone and seen them a lot earlier than what you did.
As former Everton player, a former football coach and former Everton player, Alan Stubbs, he survived cancer twice during playing in his career. Wow. They do say it's quite a thrive of football players, sport players getting, any sport, athleticism, players getting cancer. It's the stress they put their body through. Some, can't cope. Sturgeon urges UK government to release Cambo oil field plan. An offshore oil exploration rig in the Scottish sector of the North Sea burns off oil and natural gas. Nicola Sturgeon has written to Prime Minister to urge him to release the development of the North Atlantic oil field west of Shetland. First Minister said proposals for the Cambo field should be re-examined over the severity of the climate emergency. A letter comes after the UN report issued a code red for humanity. UK government wants to reduce the uses of fossil fuels, but says there is still ongoing demand for oil and gas. In a letter, Ms Sturgeon asked Boris Johnson to commit to significantly enhancing the climate conditionality assisted with offshore oil and gas production. She added, I'm also asking that UK government agrees to recess licenses already issued, but with their field development is not yet commenced. That would include the proposed Cambo development. Such licenses, some of them issued many years ago, should be reassessed in the light of the severity of the climate emergency we face now, and against a compatibility checkpoint that is fully aligned with our climate change targets and obligations. The First Minister's intervention in her first on the issue. Ms Sturgeon also urged the Prime Minister to host a Four Nations conference ahead of November's COP26 summit in Glasgow. Environmental groups have accused ministers of hypocrisy over the summit after it emerged that the Cambo development could get the green light. The oil field is situated approximately 125 kilometres, 75 miles to the west of Shetland, in water depths of between 1,050 metres to 1,100 metres. It contains more than 800 million barrels of oil. When asked about the Cambo during a visit to Scotland last week, the Prime Minister told BBC Scotland that their contacts should not be ripped up. But Mr Johnson added that we need to transition as fast as we reasonably can to renewable energy sources. UK government says the original exploitation licence for Cambo dates back in 2011. This licence granted permission to search for oil and gas in the area. There is a lengthy process involving field development plans, environmental statements and approval for relevant bodies before production activity can begin. If approved by the Oil and Gas Authority, drilling at Cambo could start as early as 2022. The field is expected to produce oil and gas for approximately 25 years. Nicola Sturgeon has been sitting on the fence on Cambo, and today she heads towards coming off it. While her reassessment call is not a straightforward no to the new field, it does lean in that direction. It is hard to imagine how Cambo and projects like it would pass robust new climate tests as proposed by the First Minister. If that amounts to presumption against new oil and gas extraction, it would be a major policy shift. It's not so long since the Scottish Government endorsed plans to extract minimum remaining value for the North Sea, and the SNP has championed the oil industry for decades. But Nicola Sturgeon has stopped short of the outright opposition because she knows the jobs, investments and energy security are also at stake. Greenpeace UK branded Ms Sturgeon letter to PR exercise and called on the First Minister to make her own stance clear. Campaigner Sam Chetton-Walsh said, the First Minister must stop hiding behind Boris. If she wants to show leadership on climate, she must clearly say, stop Cambo. Scottish Labour Net Zero spokeswoman Monica Lennon said the First Minister had taken a baby step towards having a position. She added, now is not the time to recess. It's time for Nicola Sturgeon to firmly and loudly oppose Cambo once and for all. Scottish Green Environment spokesman Mark Ruskell said, "It is welcome to see the Scottish Government start to come off the fence when it comes to the Cambo oil field, but it's clear that there are still far too many hopes pinned on the oil and gas industry to get us off the climate emergency." The Scottish Conservatives said the First Minister was putting a nationalist alliance with the Greens ahead of the economy. Virtual signaling. Scottish Conservative Net Zero spokesman Liam Kerr added the oil and gas sector supports over 100,000 Scottish jobs, and the development of Cambo field could create 1,000 more. "It is a real shame that SNP government are too busy virtue signalling to work with the industry on the transition to renewables. And the UK government are doing industry body Oil and Gas UK, OG UK, said the sector was committed to the Scottish and UK climate targets. OG UK energy policy, Will Webster added, regarding Cambo and other future oil and gas investments, it's already demonstrated in projections by government and independent agencies that they are compatible with net zero. The UK government spokeswoman said it is supporting the oil and gas industry transition to green energy by 2050. She said, even though demand for fossil fuels is failing and we continue to break records on our use of renewable energy, the advice of the Independent Climate Change Committee is that we continue to need oil and gas in the coming years, as it is still vital to the production of many everyday essentials like medicines. We have already ended support for fossil fuels overseas and already designing a climate compatibility checkpoint which will ensure the future licenses will only be granted if they are aligned with the UK's climate change objectives. Net zero by 2050. What do you make of that, ladies and gents? 2050. Net zero by 2050. This is a very, very close to home criminology. So, ladies and gents, are listening. This is bang on the doorstep. Victor Grebenking, Essex prisoner awaiting trial, found dead on HMP prison, Chelmsford shower block floor. The 57-year-old spoke very little English, had no medical records, and his family were uncontactable. An inmate who died at HMP Chelmsford was found unresponsive in a shower block, and inquest was heard. Victor Grebenking, 57, was found by prison staff on the floor of the shower block around 11:50 on the 27th of July. Medics immediately began first aid and ambulance was called to prison, but despite best efforts, Grebenking was pronounced dead shortly after 12 p.m. The Russian national had been prisoner for just over a month, since June 24, 2019, awaiting a trial at Basildon Crown Court for one-off charge of burglary. An inquest into Grebenking's death and Chelmsford Coroner's Court today, August 10th, heard that a 57-year-old had spent his time in prison health care wing. Coroner Michelle Brown explained that Grebenking has spoken too little English and had not known or available background medical history. The court heard how the prison reports detailed aggressive behaviour, potential alcohol dependence, and difficulty with language barrier. An independent post-mortem examination by pathologist Dr. Martin Goodard gave a medical cause of death as 1A hemopericardium, ruptured myocardial infarction, coronary artery thrombosis. Reading from Detective Inspector James Mills' report, the coroner outlined the details of police attendance that day. 2 crime scene inspectors initially attended HMP, followed by an acting DI later that afternoon. CCTV video and footage, body-worn footage, were viewed by officers and prison reports confirmed that Grebenking has not been under any act since arriving at prison. They also confirmed he had only ever stayed in the medical wing in his own private cell. The inquest heard how one fellow inmate on the same wing described Grebenking as not particularly liked, as he was a spitter and didn't like to speak much English. On the day of his death, D.I. Mills recorded that it was around 11:15 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Grevin King asked to use a shower. He is then escorted to the shower block before found unresponsive on the floor at 11:50. The coroner confirmed from D.I. Mills' report that the ambulance crew arrived within minutes at the prison after further minutes to assess the medical wing. Due to care given by staff on the medical wing, it was ruled the slight delay wouldn't have made any difference. Officers went on to search Grevin King's body, finding no signs of medical violence or assault. D.I. Mills described Mills' prison cell room as sparse. The only change of clothing, some paper cutouts stuck to the wall, and some spaghetti hoops. This inquest heard again how there were no specific medical conditions recorded to Grevin King's due to his lack of medical reports. Investigating officers concluded there was no third party involvement or suspicious circumstances and ruled his death as unexplained. Coroner Brown noted that PO report, prison and probation ombudsman confirmed that no one had been able to contact the prisoner's family as there were no contact details. He was over here legally, so there were no legal entry requirements and immigration couldn't assist, she added. I don't know if it's going to be a big shout out over the broadsheet and tabloid newspapers and maybe to his country, probably to let his family know. Looking at lessons which could be learned from the report, it was accepted that a telephone interpreter should have been made more available to Grevin King. However, she noted his difficult behaviour and not wanting to engage. The coroner ruled that the prisoner died of natural causes and closed the inquest. What a shame. I mean, he's doing time in prison because he's obviously a legal immigrant, not granted access in the UK. Shame that he's passed away for whatever reason. Couldn't get his reasoning for being there. Couldn't get the reason, his opinion. You know, everyone has an opinion to why they've come over here, and he couldn't even get it out because he couldn't speak too much English by the sound of things. What a shame. What a shame to be arrested, not to be able to answer the police why he'd come here in the first place. What a shame. Absolute shame. Anyway, ladies and gents, thank you for tuning in Proclamation News at Gatherence. Have a wonderful, wonderful Saturday. I'll be back again Monday morning. I just want to say take care, God bless, one love, and speak soon.